password and login details for everybody who hasn't got them. I'll leave them here so they're out of the way. And we're all delighted to speak to the expert who's had a bit of a mishap yesterday, from what I hear. So he's not here, obviously. He's on Skype.
Yeah.
Over to you, Ashes.
Okay. Let me begin by saying that welcome, everyone. I thank the Foreign Press Association for joining IGA today for this important briefing. The Foreign Press Association was established in 1888. It's the oldest foreign correspondence body anywhere in the world. IGA came into being in May 1947, 4 months before Indian independence. And we are delighted that we are cooperating today, and let's hope that this is the first of many collaborations in future. Now, before I come to the main subject, let me explain this. That the person that you see on the screen with a bandage on his head is Syed Shuja. He is originally from Hyderabad city in India. He migrated to the United States and now lives there. His background is that he worked on electronic voting machines in India, and he will tell you the rest of the story as to what happened and why he has landed up in the United States and what he has to say today. Let me emphasize that the role of IJA and FPA is to facilitate a conversation between you and Syed. We don't take a view on the matter. It is his story that you will hear, and you will get an opportunity to put questions to him and reach conclusions for yourselves. We wanted to be absolutely open and transparent on this matter because it concerns elections in India in a few months, where an estimated 900 million people will be eligible to vote. And that being the case, the first thing that we did was to invite the Chief Election Commissioner of India, of the Election Commission of India, to join us or send a representative. I don't know if there's anybody here from the Election Commission, but that's the way it is. We also invited various political parties in India, starting with the ruling party, the BJP, the Congress, and I can see one of the prominent leaders of the Indian National Congress here. I'm very pleased to see you, Mr. Kapil Sibal. And you are welcome, and do listen to what we are going to put out. Is there Bob Seeley here? Bob Seeley, okay. We will see if he can come. He is a British MP who has some authority on this subject and may be in a position to talk about it later in the day. So that being the case, is there anybody else from any other political party in India? Here? No. You were saying something?
I just wanted you to repeat the name.
Syed Shuja.
Could you spell
Maybe
that?
spelling.
Syed, and correct me if I'm wrong, Syed, Shuja?
S-A-U.
Yes?
U-J. Yes.
Okay, so that's his name. Now, having said that, now let us now listen. You've got the volume loud and clear. Why is he not here today? Is the point that I need to make. 4 days ago, Syed was attacked in the United States, and he was unable to take the flight that he was booked on from Newark to London on Saturday night and arrive here yesterday morning. So we had a bit of a crisis yesterday, but despite the fact that he is clearly injured, and we have managed to persuade him to make an appearance so that he tells his story and you can also put questions to him. So with those words, it's over to you, Syed.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for coming down there. Uh, I'll use Hindi, English, American, British, both. So everyone loud and clear?
Yes, please
Yes.
speak in English so that everyone can understand. You
Okay,
can do so with
so-
an American accent, but do speak English.
All right. So my name is Shuja. I'm known with many names. You know, some call me Sid, some call me Syed, some call me Rinkesh, some call me Mohit. I'm also a fortune teller. So I can tell you what is going to happen after this press conference. First thing, Election Commission of India will deny the possibility of EVM hacking. Second, the ruling party will deny their involvement in what happened since 2013 until date. Third, the Electronic Corporation of India will deny my existence as an employee of ECI. And fourth, that I don't exist in any system whatsoever in India because I'm dead 4.5 years ago. So these are the things which is definitely going to happen in about 2 hours from here. To start with, I was supposed to come down there, do a demo. However, those who are supposed to get the EVMs transported to India, they have been offered great amount of money, and they decided not to show up at the venue with the EVMs which was used in recent elections, the 2018 November election.
Should we
So
explain what EVMs
that
are?
plan was completely dropped out. However,
If I could just stop you there for a minute, I just want to say that ECIL means Electronic Corporation of India Limited. It's a public sector company which manufactures what are known as electronic voting machines or EVMs. Please carry on, Syed.
so the EVMs, the ballot unit, the control unit, the VVPAD and OSDL unit was all being transported to London about a week ago. However, those who are supposed to get it done or bring it to the venue, they have been offered great amount of money, as I was saying. And not just that, they compromise on my location. And, in order to stop, because they believe that, EVM tampering or EVM hacking is a business for many who understand how it is done. And they wanted to make money, so they decided to give up my location to those who were afraid that this news would come up. So I was attacked, got 7 stitches on my head, about 18 stitches on my chest, but I'm still here. Hopefully, I'm going to tell you a little bit what happened, why I ended up landing up in America. I used to work for Election Commission, with ECIL from 2009 till 2014. However, Electronic Corporation of India not just manufactured EVM, they also manufacture components for various other government organizations or public sector organizations like HAL. They manufacture the radars for many aircrafts. BL, they manufacture the equipments for ISRO or DRDO and other space research programs. So I was part of one of the team out there, specifically with radio frequency equipments. Back in 2013, we were given an assignment to study a PCB, printed circuit board, which was pretty old. Looks like 1980s thing. So we were asked to study that, understand what are the components involved in it. We did that study and gave this report. About June 2013, we have been told that what we studied, the PCB, what we studied was of EVM. And they specifically asked us a couple of things, that if EVMs are hackable, how to do that? And if it's hackable, they asked us to do it so that we can design the next set of EVMs, which we did. So if anyone claims that they can hack EVMs with the help of Bluetooth or Wi-Fi, they're lying. They're making fool out of everyone out there. Because EVM is standalone device. It cannot be hacked using a Bluetooth or a Wi-Fi or any wireless internet connectivity. So that was there. However, the chipset which is installed in EVM is very old chipset, and it has a unique proposition to itself. It has an ASK and FSK modulator, a transmitter and a receiver. ASK is typical AM frequency, and FSK is FM frequency or phase frequency, PSK. So it had that because when Hanif, the guy who actually designed the EVMs first, he used the PCB which was available back then. And back in those days, there were no Bluetooth, there were no Wi-Fi, there were no internet. So all these technologies did not exist back then. So he used what was available to him. And what was available back then was ASK and FSK modulator. However, hacking into EVM was not that easy. So we had to bypass the kernel which was there in the chipset. We wrote a small but a complicated program which bypassed the kernel and sent data at once. And after that, we needed to transfer the data, and there was no possibility of connecting a Bluetooth or a Wi-Fi. So we required a graphite-based transmitter, which would be thin enough to be installed in a PCB pay on a connector and receive and send data at once. So we did that. They provided us with all the resources which we asked for, whether it's graphite or the connecting PCB, everything was provided. We were thinking that, we were doing a great deed for the nation, and we were completely wrong. When we finished that, one of the late minister in BJP, Gopinath Munde, he came to us and assured that we can design the next set of EVM, which cannot be hacked. We didn't even know who was Gopinath Munde was, because we were never interested in politics, had no idea who this guy was. It was in mid of 2013. And we were given a project to work on the next set of EVM, which we designed in about 120 days. However, we were completely unaware of what is going behind us. They manufactured millions of PCBs, millions of connectors, which was used in 2014 election to manipulate the results of the entire nation. No one ever imagined or thought that this could be possible. We got to know that on the day of 30th April 2014, when Hyderabad was going through the election phase. The voting was happening in Hyderabad. And the modulator which we designed to transmit the data started receiving frequency left, right, and center. And we first thought that it's a manipulation or a bug which is acting on its own. But later on, when we studied that, we found out that the data which is received by the modulators was coming from EVMs. We got stunned, and we thought we'll go ahead and upload a video of what is going on YouTube. But my team was scared, including me. So we thought we will not get involved. One of the team lead in our team, Kamal Rao, he told us that he can get us a deal where we can make some money. So everyone agreed to meet some leaders from BJP. It was on May 12th, 2014. We went to a place in Hyderabad to meet a BJP leader. However, we never had any idea what's coming after that. We went to see the leader. We have been asked to wait for about an hour. When the guy arrived, he didn't say a word. He didn't speak with us, didn't ask anything, and ordered the gunman to start shooting. The gunman picked his gun, started shooting.
Just 1 second. Could you please, there are, you're obviously saying things which are quite serious. Could you just explain when exactly, where it happened? Did this happen in 2013 or 2014? Or we need to be clear about this. And also the circumstances of the meeting that you refer to.
The circumstances were, everyone got greedy in our team. We were a team of about 14 people, including me. Everyone got greedy. We thought we'd make some money.
Which year was this?
It was 2014.
2014.
The day when.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Please carry on.
2014.
This was the year of the general election in India. Is that what you're saying?
This was the year of general elections. Yes.
Yes. Okay.
So, Kamal arranged a meeting with the BJP leader. He says we can get really good amount of money to be paid. We can make a lot of money by blackmailing what is going on in the election. Not many were in favor of blackmailing or making money, but some of us were in favor. We decided that we'll go ahead and meet this leader. Next thing what happened was, everyone was shot. Nobody survived. I was there with them.
So are you saying that all your team members died as a result of the shooting and you were the only one to survive?
Yeah, I was the only one to survive. Everyone was shot, point blank. I was shot too. The bullet just go through and through. I have situs and versus. My heart is reverse. So it did not touch my heart, but it just hit through my body. When I woke up, I realized that I was in a van, a Swaraj Mustang, with other dead bodies up there. I just ran from there. I that was the only thing came to my head.
So
France,
this is Hyderabad, right? Is that correct?
it was a suburb of Hyderabad.
Suburb of Hyderabad, right?
Yeah, it was a suburb of Hyderabad. In order to cover up the killing, next morning there was a communal violence in Hyderabad, in Kishanbagh, between Muslims and Sikh. And in shooting by BSF armed forces, 4 guys were killed, 7 were injured. The bodies which was dumped, those bodies were my team members' bodies. Nobody questioned what happened. There was a curfew imposed, but they disposed the bodies of those 11 people in that communal violence. Nobody even questioned what happened. No Congress, no TDP, no TRS, nobody questioned it. It was shown as if, oh, in communal violence, people got killed by shooting by a BSF officer. That wasn't the thing. It was a cover-up. The entire communal violence happened on 14th of May 2014. Was a cover-up to bury those 11 dead bodies. I ran from there. I called a few of my friends. They arranged my passport. They picked up my passport, got my passport, booked my ticket from Delhi. I ended up in America, 15th of May. And ever since, I've been trying to tell the story to everyone. The 2014 election was completely rigged, manipulated. The results were manipulated using the technology which we built, not knowing that it will be used at a mass level to manipulate the results. And the entire results were manipulated. Whether it's Delhi, whether it's Gujarat, whether it's Madhya Pradesh, whether it's Rajasthan, whether it was Chhattisgarh, whether it was Maharashtra, whether it was Telangana, entire election, whether it was UP, the entire results were rigged. And no one could prove it because it is not possible to hack an individual EVM machine using Bluetooth or Wi-Fi. Those who are claiming or those who are thinking about doing it, you have to have physical access to the machine. And with our technology or with our algorithm which we built, they don't need that. All they need was a GNU modulator which transmit data at a very low frequency, between 7 hertz to 390 hertz, which is a military grade frequency. One organization in India have about 42 of those, which could transmit data at a burst. And they have been using it. They have been using it since 2014. All the election which happened in Delhi, we stopped the transmission with the help of about 3-4 guys. They intercepted the transmission and the results were completely opposite. What was supposed to go in favor of BJP, it turned out to be in favor of Aam Aadmi Party. Otherwise, it would have been a history where BJP would have wiped the entire 70 seats. The entire 70 seats in Delhi.
I think, just one second, I think you are jumping from the general election to the state election in Delhi. Please,
Yeah.
please clarify that, because we have people in the room who are not so familiar with the circumstances.
Yes. And the 2014 elections, the actual results were completely different. And the results which was shown to the world that BJP had a clear mandate of 278 seats. It was absolutely rigged. It was absolutely rigged. The entire UP was rigged, the entire Gujarat was rigged, the entire Madhya Pradesh was rigged, the entire Rajasthan was rigged, the Chhattisgarh was rigged, Maharashtra was rigged, Delhi was rigged. The entire 2014 general election results were rigged.
So how is it that in Delhi, where BJP had done so well, they were wiped out in the state election?
Well, I had a team who was willing to take the risk of intercepting the transmission, which was initiated by BJP IT guys. So they've successfully managed to intercept the transmission and reverse the transaction to another party. And Aam Aadmi Party was in favor. So when they transmitted the frequency, we intercepted the frequency and changed the results to another party's favor. That result was also rigged. You know, the actual results are completely different, similar to the previous results, where 30, 20, and 10 was distributed equally. Not much of a difference, but the interception, what we did, it changed the entire results. What BJP was trying to do in their favor, we changed it and put it to another political party, which happens to be Aam Aadmi Party, and they scored 67 out of 70. It was history in itself. Never happened in India, never happened anywhere in the world. 67 seats, 93 point change percent of seats victory. We did try to intercept transmission wherever possible. However, with lack of money and with lack of support or resources, we were not being very successful. But EVMs are very much hackable. If I had any luck with me, if I would have been there, then I would have shown live how it was done. However, Election Commission will come back and say that EVMs are tamper-proof because they have the 14 prototype which we built while we were there. So they have the prototype. Every time when they were challenged that EVMs are hackable, they will put forward those machines which is impossible to hack even with physical access. Because what we designed, what we built as a prototype, it is impossible to hack for us, even us, to bypass the kernel in the chipset. The current M3 machine which is used, it's state of art. You know, it will leave no scope for speculation at all because it is linked and synced with VVPAD. People are thinking VVPAD is there to show the world that there is a if there is a paper trail, why is it that Election Commission is not in favor of counting each and every one of it? They are not. I'll tell you another thing about VVPAD. It's a thermal printer. A thermal printer which has both sides printing. It can print both sides. The one what world see, it is only visible for 10 seconds under the thermal heat. The light which appears on the VVPAD, which shows the symbol of the political party which you voted for, it will be visible only for 10 seconds and it will disappear after that. Because the thermal printing, the ink used at the front end is chemically endorsed. it will only appear under the heat of that light. And once the paper is dropped, the, the print which is behind it will stay there. So people are getting fooled again, and election commission is 100% involved in it.
Could I ask you? Could I ask you a question here?
Sure.
Were you knowingly and willingly involved in hacking, or did it happen after you had designed the machine in a certain way and you were not directly involved? Could you clarify that, please?
I'm not directly involved. However, we were asked that if it's possible to hack, how is it possible? Show us so that we can do a better design, which is impossible to hack. So we were asked to do so by ECIL so that they can design another machine. So we did that because we were asked to do so. And it was
ECIL being Electronic Corporation of India Limited, right?
Yeah.
Not the Election Commission of India.
On the direct order of that time election commissioner, Mr. Sampath, was aware of all the thing which was going on. Gopinath Munde, the minister who died soon after he swore in an accident, he was aware of it. In fact, the mystery of Gopinath Munde, he was murdered because he was about to expose his own government that they hacked the EVMs and won because he was not getting what he was asking for, I believe. This was investigated by the NIA officer, Tanzeel Muhammad, who was also killed in 2015, in April 2015 or 2016, I don't remember, but he was coordinating with my team to investigate further what happened in 2014 election. He investigated that he had enough evidence to file the charge sheet, and I believe the last conversation I had was in March before he died. He says he's going to go ahead and file an FIR or suo motu case to expose the government. And a few days later, he was killed. And the case was completely closed. Somebody, came forward and confessed that that was a family dispute and Tanzeel was killed in that dispute. It was a made up thing. They wanted to cover up, and they did it. They did it absolutely fantastically. Few of the journalists, I don't want to take the name, but they came to see me. They came to see me and took whatever material I could provide them. They say, oh, we'll go ahead and expose it, run a story on it, and this and that.
Where did they come? Where did they come to see you?
It was in March of 2015. They came to see me in US. So just looking.
Are you saying? Are you referring to Indian journalists coming to see?
Yeah, I'm referring to a famous Indian journalist who happens to shout every day on national television.
Can we have the name?
Who happens to shout every day on national television. A famous guy who just raises his hand every now and then. How dare you do that? I don't need to take the names. People are very intelligent to find out. But that guy gave me false hope that he's going to go ahead and run the story. And then he says, if they don't run the story, he'll quit the channel, which he did. And he gave me false hope that he's going to open his own channel and run the story. He did open his own channel, but there was no story. But later on, I found out that channel was supported by BJP.
Just one point here, Syed. You've made some very serious charges, and the charges against BJP are extremely serious, and it could even be interpreted as maligning the party. Can you substantiate what you have been claiming? And the other question I have is, did any other political party approach you to do the same thing?
Yes, indeed. There were many political parties approached me to do the hacking for them. However, I couldn't do much, so I gave them a way to show the world that it is possible. But yeah, there were many political parties approached me. Yes,
Would you like to name them?
SP, BSP, Congress, Aam Aadmi, small parties, local residential parties, regional parties. There were many. I got contacts for almost 12 parties which is known national.
Tell us now a little bit about how you left India and arrived in the United States, and what is your status there in the United States?
Well, I seeked asylum. And I'm an asylum here. So when I left India, I was injured thanks to the corrupt system in India. I was able to leave India, leave Delhi airport, paid a bribe of $100 to the immigration officer in India who let me pass through. I landed up here and I filed my asylum on airport.
So on what basis were you given asylum?
I seek political asylum, and I had enough evidence while I was waiting for my date. I had to gather evidences. So I did gather enough evidences to prove my case, to put forward my case, and all the evidences has been verified. The information which I shared here, so it was being verified, and then based on the verification, I was granted asylum.
So the story that you're telling us, did you say the same thing or more to the US authorities?
In a limited time, Ashish, we won't be able to go through 4.5 years of my life. However, I get really emotional when I talk about the kind of suffering I had to go through since May 2014. So, I'm not in a mental stage to trigger all that suffering again. So I'm trying to be precise because we have time restraints here. But yes, there are a lot more to my story than what I'm sharing right here.
In other words, the question that I'm asking is that proof of what you're saying should be available with records with the US administration?
Yes, indeed.
Okay.
Yes.
If you could say a little bit more and then round off, I would like to ask people to put questions to you.
So basic point.
Can you tell
is
us a
that-
little bit now, this story that you've been telling us, you've been out of India since 2014.
Yes.
Now, is it your belief that what happened as you are claiming in 2014 has continued to happen?
It is happening as we speak. The Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, and Chhattisgarh election. If we wouldn't have my team, who's still in India, they intercepted the transmission. With that interception, we still, like I said, we don't have too much of resources, but we still wanted to see how free and fair the election could be possible. With the help of that transmission interception, the election results were very close in Madhya Pradesh. One seat was up, one seat was down. If Election Commission agrees to count the VVPAT, the entire one of it, you will see a complete discrimination between the EVM data and the VVPAT data. So you will find a huge amount of discrimination or discrepancy in the Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, Chhattisgarh, and especially Telangana. In fact, it has been discovered recently that number of votes registered was higher in EVM than number of votes casted. In about 40 constituencies, about 5,000, 6,000 votes is more in 40 constituencies. An election commission did not even bother to give an explanation on what happened. And like I said, after this press meet, if anyone goes and approach election commission and ask them anything about it, they will completely deny. They will say that EVMs are tamper-proof, and if you're asked to present, they will present the one which we built, the prototype which they have, which is impossible to hack, and nobody is going to do anything about it. Nobody is going to do anything about it because no political party have guts to stand up and ask, why do we have VVPAT when we can count? And now counting VVPAT is also stupidity because it will completely sync with the data. However, back in September 2018, that bug was fixed by us. They brought the EVM, VVPAT, ballot unit, control unit in a diplomatic package to America, where they asked few experts to check if it's possible to fix the bug. So a friend of mine who worked with me in ICL, he approached me, asked me if I can do that. I did it because if I wouldn't do it and somebody else would, then there will be no possibility to prove that VVPAT is sinking because of the thermal two-side printing. So I did that. And later on I was attacked that night. And the guy who brought the EVM to US, when he reached India, he met with an accident and he died. An accident where he was standing at a bus station and a bus ran over, a RTC bus in Gachibowli, in Telangana, ran over him.
Just if again, for the sake of clarification, you've been referring to my team in the present tense. And then
Yes.
you had earlier said that your team was completely wiped out in the shooting incident.
Those who worked with me, they are dead.
Who
Those
were,
who worked
can you
with me-
name these people who worked with you in 2014 and were shot and killed?
I can name 5 of them. Jazz, Ijaz, Hamza, Prakash, Srinath, Vamshi, Keval, Keshav, and Fareed. These guys who worked with me, they got killed that day. 13th May, late in the night. They got killed that day. The team I'm referring to is those who are working with me right now. Those who wanted to save the democracy in India. Those who are who are acquaintances of mine who happened to know me after I started finding out who could help me in India. So I found about 10 people in India who is willing to risk their life to intercept the transmission which is happening after 2014. I don't want to take any name of those because of their own life safety, but the team who is intercepting the transmission, who's trying to intercept the transmission in India, they are still there, and they are still trying to save Indian democracy. They're trying to save or have a free and fair election. However, it is not possible because we don't have resources, we don't have any support from any political party or any non-political party or anyone who could help us. Everyone is selfish enough to take advantage of the situation. Everyone.
So in a nutshell, who are the culprits? Who are complicit in what is happening?
Reliance Communication, the GEO, they have the network to transmit the data. BJP is obviously the beneficiary in the entire exercise because they are doing it. And those who are allies of BJP is getting benefit from the same. There are about 9 stations in India where they have the facility to do the transmission. And those who are working in that facility, even they don't know that they are tampering with EVM because they have an application, all they do, the employees working in those 9 stations, all they do is do data entry. They don't even know what data entry, what they're doing. Nobody knows. It was a clear-cut victory for BJP because they're utilizing the solution which they have, and it's been successful. Just imagine when Prime Minister Modi decided to do demonetization. 2 months later, UP went on election. The entire India was lined up in queue at the ATM machines, and they still managed to win. Problem with India, I did not vote for you, but the other person did, and that other person is celebrating. I will go ahead and join it, irrespective whether I voted for that particular party or not, but I will still go ahead and join the victory. One sheep, the other sheep follows. This is what happens in India. And let's say, for the argument's sake, if Election Commission decided to get rid of EVMs, then still there is no possibility of another party to win. If it's paper ballot, still BJP will win because they have huge money to buy the votes. 20 years ago, the vote was 100 rupee or 1,000 rupee. Now the vote rate has been increased to 10,000 or 15,000. They have money to go ahead and buy it. Imagine 1 year ago, the Bitcoin raised to $19,000 for a Bitcoin. Nobody even bothered to check how much money from India was circulated in that Bitcoin and how much money from India of those politicians who has been enjoying the vicinity of being in government.
Okay, just one last question before I throw it open. And that question is, the Election Commission of India has been held in very high esteem for decades, but you are casting aspersions on the Election Commission of India.
Yes, I am. I ask you a question, Ashish. I ask a question to everyone who's sitting out there. Why did they come down here today? A credible person, you send an invite asking everyone to come down to have a demo of actual EVM machines being hacked. and everyone followed you because you have a credibility in the industry. You're a credible person. You inviting or IJA is a credible organization. If they are hosting something, everyone came down to attend it. But however, if I wouldn't have turned down, then what would happen? People would question your credibility. Election Commission, their credibility has been questioned millions of times in the last 5 years, and nobody is really bothered. So ask them, if you're credible enough, then why don't you count the entire VVPAT? Why only 5% or why only one ballot in each constituency? Why is that? If they are credible, they should come up and show the world that, look, this is the EVMs, which is used, show us how it is done. Even.
Okay, thank you. I will now ask for questions. What I'll do is I will turn my laptop around so that you can see the person who's asking the question and then answer. So could we have the first question, please? Yes, the gentleman here. If you could identify yourself and the organization that you represent, and perhaps look towards this webcam here, and so that your face is captured.
Separate mic for this, or is it just?
You can come forward and ask your question. Yes.
Hi, Syed. I'm Bakasha Sachdev. I'm from the Quint. The question which I'd like to ask you is, you mentioned that Reliance were able to assist with the attempts to sort of use to jam the signal and attempt to hack with the EVMs. Now you mentioned Reliance Jio, but in 2014, obviously Reliance Jio didn't exist. What was the company which in 2014, or do you know who was offering them the ability to use that low frequency signal in 2014?
Oh, well, Mr. Sipil is right there. Ask him, because he was the person who actually gave approval to Reliance Jio to buy the modulator, which was military grade.
This was in 2014.
No, the modulator was purchased in 2014, was approved by Congress government. It was 2012 they bought the modulator, because in 2012 we did study the PCB, so they had the detailed information about the PCB. So 2012, 2013 they had the modulator. And Reliance Jio, they had the infrastructure ready. No, they were not in business back then, but they had the infrastructure ready.
And
They had the infrastructure.
So this was Mukesh Ambani's Reliance Group, or was it?
Yeah, the Ambani.
Yeah, should we have that?
Yeah.
Gentleman there.
Okay.
This one in the front row.
Yeah. Please come.
You can probably do it from there.
You can.
if-
Yeah.
As long as everybody can hear the question.
Shuja, hi, this is Niranjan from EG News. And you mentioned about Kamal Rao, who took you to the room and everybody was shot. So where is Kamal Rao now? And what happened to your
Kamal
family?
is in US. Last I know, Kamal is in US, and he was employed by Reliance for a longer time in last 4 years, and now he migrated to US. So Kamal is in US.
And is your family safe? I mean, where is it?
My family is safe here, there.
Thank you.
Yeah. Vidya.
Hi there, Vidya from the Hindu. I was just wondering, you mentioned that you had documentation that you had given in support of your asylum application in the US. I was wondering whether any of this documentation and supportive evidence would be available to us journalists to go over to obviously support some of what you're saying. Thanks.
Yes, positive. Positive is available.
Is the answer yes?
Yes.
That documents will be available.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Lavina.
Hi Shuja, this is Lavina from India Today. I'm a little bit confused. Are you trying to say that the elections of Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, won by Congress were was the time when you guys intercepted and stopped the entire mechanism to be rigged? And did you at one point also say that all the parties, including BJP, BSP, Congress, all contacted you to rig elections, please? Thank you.
I did. Back in last year, between September till November, most of the political parties did contact us, asking us to rig the elections for them. But I'm not in that business, so I completely ignore the request. However, like I mentioned, I have a team who was trying to save the democracy. They intercepted the transmission in Madhya Pradesh. They intercepted the transmission in Rajasthan. They intercepted the transmission in Chhattisgarh. And we managed to stop possible interchanging of data in EVMs.
So who was interfering with the elections? Who was tampering or attempting to tamper?
Well, BJP was tampering the elections, and we intercepted the transmission so that we can stop them.
Yeah, the gentleman there, yes. Yes, you can come forward, yeah.
Hi, my name is Rahul. I work in London. So I have a follow-up question from the previous question. Because you're taking names of political parties, and very vaguely you have mentioned that they approached you to rig elections. Since we are taking names, can we be more clear? Who approached you to rig elections for them, and who approached you to try and stop rigging?
Well, BJP did come forward to one of my team members and asked him if we can do that for them. They don't know that I'm still alive until now. So yeah, BJP was the first to came forward when the BB pad was in use, and then SP, BSP, few guys from that political party approached, asked us to do if we can do anything for them. They offered us money. We contacted Congress to seek help from them. However, we did not get any luck because, ऊपर देखा, नीचे देखा, आगे देखा, पीछे देखा. Gonna say you won't win the election if you say easy up, easy down, easy left, right. So we thought we'll be able to help them because they were the only political party who actually lost big time. So we thought we seek their help to put this forward to the world that election using EVMs is completely manipulated.
Did Aam Aadmi Party approach you in any way? You have named other parties, but this is the name which came before, but this time you didn't mention it.
Yes, they did. They did. However, they wanted us to hack the EVM to show the world that EVMs are hackable. And we did give them a possible solution where they were not able to use it, or they didn't even participate in the challenge which was thrown by Election Commission to hack the elections or hack the EVMs. So they did approach us to find a solution where they can show the world that EVMs are hackable. I think they're still trying to do that, but what they're trying to do is using Bluetooth or Wi-Fi, which is impossible, which is not even close to being hacked, the standalone DB.
Thank
The
you.
gentleman there, yeah, please.
Thank you. My name is Ali Bahajub, North-South Publications. First,
Yeah.
who attacked you on Saturday? Number two, you mentioned you have a team of 14 and you're the 15, and only 12 turned up in the killing session. Why were there 12 instead of just 2 representatives or 3 representatives of the team? Number 3, was it possible that the referendum in Britain could have been hacked?
Yes. So I'll come up with the fourth question, or third question. Yeah, the referendum is actually hacked. So that is something right there. Out of 14, only 12 came up for that meeting. The 13th one was Kamal. He is in America now. The 14th one is still alive, and he's the person who's actually helping us to intercept the frequency transmission in India. And Saturday, who attacked me? It was an African American. I don't know his name, but a homeless, I would say, who got $3,000 to attack me.
Have you gone to the police to report the matter?
Yes, it is, but I don't want anything to go public on it. So.
Yeah, Rupanjan. We'll come to everyone, please. Well,
Hi, I'm Rupanjana from Bortoman Putrika. I wanted to ask 3 things. Number 1, you talked about the different parties that had approached you. One, I wanted to know if Trinamool was one of them, because you spoke about regional parties. And recently, Mamta Banerjee and Farooq Abdullah, they said that the EVM machine, it's a chore machine, the word they use. So they want to bring back the ballot paper system. Do you think that's better? And third is, you said that, US Embassy, they have your, asylum papers, which obviously talks about, all this. How is it possible to acquire them? Like, how can we refer them, if at all, if we need to? Thank you.
We try to contact Trinamool. However, we never had any luck. Going paper, like I said, BJP has enough money to buy the votes. And the problem in India is everyone said Bharat Mata, and they go ahead and sell the vote for peanuts. If I've been offered $10,000 or 10,000 rupees to go ahead and sell my vote, I will take that 10,000 rupees and go ahead and vote for the party who's paying me. So BJP has enough money to buy the votes. So going paper, if any party has more money than BJP, then yeah, go ahead, go paper. And there is a possibility to get the papers from the US.
it is possible.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I'll come to you one by one.
We're asking to elaborate on how we get those papers.
Yes, how can those documents
We can discuss
be
it
obtained?
offline.
Sorry?
It has some sensitive information, so we can discuss offline.
Okay. If you could provide some information for people to follow up, please. Right, the lady at the back, yes.
Hi, I'm Ruby. I write for The Wire. I believe you mentioned that Gopinath Munde was aware or possibly involved in the EVM scam in 2014 and then threatened the government and was subsequently murdered. Could you elaborate on this, and do you have any evidence to back these allegations?
Well, Gopinath Munde was completely aware and involved in the entire operation, because he was the one who we met the day when we finished it. And he was murdered, for sure. Tanzir Ahmed, the NIA officer who was investigating another case, he happened to get involved in Gopinath Munde's murder. And he had enough evidences to show the world that Gopinath Munde was murdered by his own political party. The EVMs were hacked and how it was done. So he had enough information. However, unfortunately, he was also killed, murdered, I would say. and his case was completely covered up with another, goof up story. So this is what is happening in India, and unfortunately, we can't do anything about it.
Do you have any evidence about this?
No, I do not. I do not. I do not have any evidences. Uh, Even though if I go ahead and provide evidences, uh, evidences can be or can be proved incorrect. So yeah, I don't have any evidences, but
So
since he have enough evidences to file a charge sheet or file an FIR on so motor, which he was willing to do, but he was killed. So I don't know what happened to that.
Krishan, yeah. Yeah, come forward a little bit.
It's hard for him to.
Yeah. How did the camera says?
I want to know, did any foreign government, or Russia, China, Pakistan, did they ever approach you? Because this is an important thing you are saying, degrading the Indian democracy. And naturally, there are some countries who do not want democratic country, India. So did they approach you for any time, either Russia, China, or Pakistan?
Oh, no. I'm worried about my own country. So I'm worried about Indian democracy rather than thinking about others. So I have no idea.
So my co-chair would like to ask a question.
Yes, hello, Syed. I'm Deborah Bonetti. I'm the director of the Foreign Press Association, and also I write for an Italian paper called Il Giorno. You have made, as far as I understand, quite a lot of very serious and unsubstantiated allegations. And I would like to know why you say with such certainty that the referendum in Britain on Brexit was hacked.
I was studying that when the entire election process was happening. So I was studying that, and the kind of pattern which we found was really astonishing. Somebody just was, well, I don't know who did, but it was a great job. For an expert like me, I found really interesting things like that. So, yeah.
Do you have any proof of that in any way?
Yes and no, both. So I did study that when it was happening. However, I did not keep anything with me because I didn't want anything to do with Britain. They already ruled 200 years on India. So I was really not getting into that bit. Joseph Park, I did study that, and it was a very fun show.
Just one question here. In Britain, as you know, there's still a system of ballots, and ballots which are counted at the end of the election or referendum process. So how do you hack an election in Britain?
Same way how you do it in India. India also has a VVPAT, which is paper trail. However, it is still going on. There are so many other countries where ballot is still used, but it's still possible. And one example is Britain.
Okay, yes, Sanjay.
Well, what is your relationship with Mr. Kapil Sibal from the Congress Party, who is here at this press conference? Was this done in arrangement and in agreement with him? Is this therefore a Congress Party agenda to malign the election process, which you say has been manipulated in 2014, and it was manipulated again with the Aam Aadmi Party election, except that you chose to manipulate it the other way around on your own to counter a manipulation by the other? Is all a pretty extreme, and we are still waiting for some evidence on all this. But short of that, what explains your presence and Mr. Kapil Sibal's presence here in this room at the same time to make this common agenda and to present this common argument?
Well, I don't have any agenda with Mr. Simple. However, when I was trying to seek help from many political parties, I did happen to tap his door as well. So, and that's the only connection I have.
And what did that connection lead to this press conference?
Not really. This press conference was organized by Ashish. So, I don't know how Ashish is connected with Mr. Sibyl, but
Mr. Ashish, of course, hosted a meeting with Mr. Sibyl very recently. So is this an agreement between Ashish, you and Mr. Sibyl?
no, it's an agreement between me and Ashish. Mr. Sibyl, if he's involved in any way to arrange it, then I don't know. But no, I don't have any agenda with Mr. Sibyl.
Can I just quickly ask?
In fact, Mr. Sibyl is indirectly responsible for the entire 2014 election to happen in the favor of BJP, because while he was the telecom minister, the approval to buy a military-grade frequency modulator was signed by him, and I'm not sure whether he's aware of it or not, but it was initiated by ministry has to clear it because it's a foreign it's a military-grade frequency modulation. So.
Have you been watching some B-grade Bollywood films of late?
What do you think so? Well, I do watch movies, but not B-grade.
Can I just
just one second.
Just one last bit. What made you take so long to expose this, and did you try any other ways to do it? Because it's now 2019 and.
Gaurav Lankesh was a journalist who was willing to write the story, and August she communicated to me and she said she is willing with the story, and she was willing to go ahead with the story, and she was killed. So, I stopped for a year to get involved in anything because anyone who was involved directly or indirectly, anyone who was involved directly or indirectly in this story got killed. So I was pretty much scared, and now my family is here. So screw everyone. I don't care. This has to be there. The world has to know that EVMs are tamperable, hackable, and it is happening. And I have been trying to put it forward since last.
Yes, the lady here.
Sid, hi, this is Gagan from the BBC. How are other countries like the US and Congo using EVMs, and to what effect are they also problematic, according to you? That's the first question.
I didn't study US EVMs. I didn't have an opportunity to do so. And I don't know about Congo.
Right, okay. Last year, the Election Commissioner of India had opened a challenge where he invited people to come forward and try and hack the EVM machines in India. Did you not think at that time maybe you should take the challenge up? If not, why now?
I'm an asylum there. If I go back to India, then what are the possibility of my safety and security? So I gave an option to those who are willing to participate, but they backed out.
And why now? And what are you hoping today's press conference will help
Well,
achieve?
I'm not hoping anything, to be honest. I'm not hoping anything. I know nothing is going to change. Nothing is going to change because the EVM will stay, and whatever is happening will continue to happen. Nothing will change. If everyone stand down and ask for a ballot paper, still it's not going to change anything because BJP has enough money to buy the votes. So people have to think what they really want. They want a manipulative government which was not elected by the people, or they want a government who is going to go ahead and manipulate everything in India, and they will continue to do so. And nobody is going to do anything about it.
So last
I
question.
want
So
to stand up and ask a question.
So what is the alternative, if not EVMs? What do you think? What else can we do?
Well, they have an EVM which is tamper proof, and they will not do it. The design which we gave them, it is completely standalone. It does not have any possibility of any transmission whatsoever. You cannot connect with it wirelessly. It is highly impossible because it's a very simple design, but though very complicated.
Okay, the gentleman here, yeah.
Said, this is Niranjan again. Apart from the parliament election and the number of assembly elections, for the first time we saw a use of EVMs in Delhi University elections. So, was it also rigged?
I don't know.
Okay, so gentleman there, yeah.
Excuse me. You mentioned about the Brexit, the referendum here in Britain that was wrecked. Who would be interested in wrecked the referendum here? Do you believe Russia would be interested in doing that?
Well, I don't know who did, but I did study that. So I found the results to be very interesting. And it showed the pattern of rigging.
Yeah.
So you mentioned, hi, my name is Uday, and I'm a King's graduate, and I'm doing project on Indian democracy. So my question to you is, as you mentioned that it was the Delhi elections that your team saved basically and changed the frequency. Was it the same, did your team do the same in Punjab and Bihar as well?
Well, not really. When we did intercepted the transmission in Punjab, in Bihar as well.
Yeah, the gentleman there. But you have asked a question already.
Yeah.
Just 1 second, yeah.
Let's
The
get
lady
this
here,
lady
yeah.
Thank you. Hi there, Yasmin Sarham from The Atlantic. I'm wondering just on the Brexit vote again. I mean, you said you noticed a pattern, but I'm wondering if someone were to rig that type of vote, why would they make it so close?
Again, like I said, it was really interesting to study them. And I did find a pattern.
Can you say a little bit more? Because, how does one rig an election where ballots are involved? I mean, I just don't understand this.
Well, still, the papers have been, scanned and counted. So the pattern was.
But that's a physical counting by people, several people being present and cross checks happening. So how do you rig this? I mean, are you suggesting that there was something happening, before or on Facebook or something like that?
No, not really. It's a completely complicated process. If you study that, then you will definitely find the pattern in it. So, again, I'm more worried about Indian democracy and how the elections are held in India. But there is a pattern which implies that it was changed.
Yeah.
Hi, this is Danish for Times Now. So you mentioned in great details a lot of things. I just want to know, are you suggesting that all the election commissioners, all the chief election commissioners, will they be having an idea about all these happenings? And also specifically, Mr. Sampath has actually told our channel that nobody has ever hacked EVM in our presence. How will you react to it? And also, of course, please do answer whether you think all the chief election commissioners are in the know-how about this whole process of hacking.
Well, I'm sure they are. I'm sure they are pretty much aware, or, as much as I know, most of them is aware of it.
Yes, the lady there.
Hello, I'm Adriana Snow from Tricolor TV. I have 2 questions for you, sir.
Can you hear her?
Can you hear me?
Can you hear the question?
No, I can't.
No, please come forward.
I have 2 questions, sir. Firstly, how many seats did the Congress lose through the rigging of these machines? And secondly, is the murder of the journalist Gauri Lankesh linked to these hackings?
Yeah. So approximately 201 seats was lost by Congress during 2014. Gauri was working on the other story. So, yeah, I just linked to that.
Can you elaborate on how it's linked?
She's ready to go ahead and publish it. Last I spoke with her, and she said she's ready, and she filed an RTI, right to information, to find out who manufactured the cables. The cables was manufactured in a company which is a Shiv Sena MP, Mr. Patel. I don't know his full name, but his son run the company which manufactures e-cable for election ECI. So yeah, she did file an RTI to find the source of manufacturing, and she was waiting for that so that she can run the story, and she was murdered, a week later.
Tom?
Tom Deegan, Asian Affairs. You've made several comments, Mr. Said, about how easy it is to rig ballot elections. Ashish Ray has mentioned several times. Probably you don't know very much about the way ballot elections in this country or in Europe take place. You've also claimed because it takes place at local levels with local trusted officers counting the ballot in front of the candidates, the opportunity for fraud is very, very limited. Doesn't mean it's not possible, but any frauds exposed in the past have been minor matters concerning a few dozen double voting and that kind of thing. But you keep saying that in India, the BJP has so much money it can buy the election. But the electorate in India, I'm not quite sure how big it is, but it must be something like 500 million people going to the vote. How do you buy 500 million people? And what guarantee do you have that having given them the money in advance, that they'll actually do what you paid them to do? Could you explain that?
India has a history of having elections on paper. And buying votes for money is not very uncommon. And not 500 million. They only need to get past the post thingy. So I suppose they have money to buy the vote. And I'm sure people do take money and cast a vote in the faith. And well, I cannot guaranteedly say that, but that's a trend which has been going on. So I'm sure it continues.
Yeah, Vidya.
Hi there. Just again about the. Sorry, hi. Vidya again from the Hindu. I was just wondering whether U.S. authorities, you've been in touch with the U.S. authorities as part of this process of, bringing all of this out in the open, and whether you expect that to affect your status in the United States. And also, second question: is your solution then for the Electoral Commission to roll out the prototype that you worked on that you say is tamper-proof? Thanks.
That can be one possibility. However, I don't have a solution for, I don't have a solution for replacement of EVM. The one which we did work on, that was already there with that. But I'm not sure, and I'm not sure how to help in that regards. All I know is, this has been happening, and it will continue. If nobody come forward and put forward what is happening, then it will continue.
The first part of it, what she was asking about.
What was it?
Are U.S. authorities aware of you coming out with this?
Yes, how are you did mention at one point that US authorities or agents went out to India to check what you were claiming. Could you elaborate on that?
Yeah.
And is there any paperwork on that?
I did not say that they checked by going to India, but they did verify the information. So they have their own ways to do, but they did verify.
Okay. Just, anyone who hasn't asked a question?
I have one from Facebook.
Okay, Facebook question.
Mr. Syed, hi. We're being followed by many fellow journalists in India, and somebody's written to me asking if they could ask a question. The person is Megha Bari, and she's a freelance in Delhi. She would like to ask you, how can we corroborate any of the stuff you've said, including the hacking program, the murdering of colleagues, etc.? Is there any way that any one of us here can corroborate anything that you've said today?
Well, no, not really.
That's a good question. That's a good answer. Thank you. I think we need to.
That you can. There's no way of cross-checking.
Well, there are several ways to cross-check, Sheesh. There are several ways to cross-check. But what's the point? Like I said in the beginning of my introduction, what will happen? I do not even exist in the system. They completely wipe my data and everyone who was there with it. I'm an expert in cybersecurity, and I couldn't find anything which is still remaining in the system out there.
Such as what? Your Aadhaar card or something like that?
Absolutely nothing there.
But the US authorities have been able to do it, right?
Sorry?
The US authorities must be.
But the US authorities have documentation.
So if they could verify.
Yes, they do.
Okay. I think we'll close it there. Thank you very much, because we're approaching, as they say, the hour when we have to, the Cinderella time, as they say. Thank you for joining us, Syed. I hope you get well and will be able to perhaps give us more information and more documentation, really, to substantiate what you've said. And with that, good luck to you, and thank you very much for joining us.
Will he be doing
Thank you.
extension? Will be doing something to follow up on all that we discussed about the documents
Yes,
and
the
stuff?
documentation offline, you get
Will he
it.
will he,
I will
But
get on
Ashish,
to it.
as you are in close touch with him, you can give us the documentation he spoke of.
Yes, I will pursue the matter. Yeah.
Ashish, can I request him to send us maybe a documentation, step-by-step, simple way of how EVMs are getting hacked?
Yes, because
Yeah,
that
Ashish
It's
should
very
wait.
complicated.
One second.
Wait, could he please send it to us, maybe a step-by-step, very simplified way of how EVMs are getting hacked? And
You are hearing all this. I will make out a list for you, Syed, and if you could please respond when I send you the list.
and also how many machines are out there? I mean, is every machine that is now being used in every election is possible to be rigged, and only the 14 and 15 that are with the election commission not possible to be rigged?
So there,
Well, I don't know, but I don't know whether they increased the capacity of the 14 and 15 prototype that they had. But surely, all the M3s with the new chipset is absolutely vulnerable to transmission. Yes.
Everything.
Yes.
Can we thank you and Ashish for an entertaining afternoon?
So then,
Thank
you. Are entertainment system industry, so I'm glad that you are entertained.
thank you again, and have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well,